What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is Bones, Season 11, Episode 16, The Striking the Chord, or, as I like to call it, Bones Pitch Perfect Edition. Did anyone actually really want to see that? Raise your hand if you did. I can't see you, but if you actually did raise your hand, just please go jump off a cliff. Sounded mean, I'm sorry. This episode does things to me that just... they affect my mind. I want to go kill people, and that's not good. Maybe I should stop watching the show. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about it. So we have a case involving whatchamacallit, acapella. Really weird. I don't understand why. And honestly, most of the episode, like there were probably a good 5 minutes that were just filler with people singing a cappella. I'm just like, seriously? Like, we're just gonna... that's the only reason you have this in here, is so we can have people singing a cappella. And even then, it's clearly not them. If it had actually been done on camera, that would have been interesting, but it wasn't, because there's auto-tune effects, and you hear snapping, and none of the people on screen are snapping, and I'm just like, really? You can't even get that right? And the singing was not bad, but the choreography was terrible. Like I said, you hear snapping noises, and it's almost like it's not happening on screen. You can't see it, but you still hear it. It's like, get it right. How can you miss that in editing? Like, okay, so they're singing, they're snapping, and I don't see snapping. Do it again. Come on. It's simple stuff, simple editing, and it's kind of ironic because I don't edit my videos. Anyway, so that whole thing was stupid. The killer in this case turned out, thank goodness, not to be over a cappella, but when you really think about it, this whole premise now just feels stupid. It was all based around a cappella, and then the murder reason was because he was taking this one guy's pills. And, oh, it was an accident. I pushed him, and I really had to study. I'm like, what? So the case was terrible. Absolutely, 100% awful. Were there good things in this episode? One. Okay, 1.5. Aubrey was still... He's still a great character for me. He's the only good character in this show right now. So to see him sort of find out that he used to be a cappella, and that scene at the end where they have the tape of him was kind of funny. However, he wasn't as big in this episode as far as his humor as he normally is. Hodgins has finally come back. He's finally returned from the depths of whatever just ridiculous, stupid, moronic mistake they made with him for the past few weeks. He's finally back. The scene where Cam comes in and he's holding the rat like a James Bond villain would hold a cat, and sitting there letting it drink water out of a bottle that he's holding. The look on his face, he's just like, hello. I'm just like, that's Hodgins. He's back. Like, I've missed his character so much because he's been acting like a jerk and a jackass for the past several weeks. Last week it was a little bit better, but it was like on the opposite side. You know, he'd been a jackass, he felt bad, I'm gonna apologize, by completely acting the opposite way. And it got annoying, even to Angela. This week, it felt like he was Hodgins again. He's doing these experiments with these rats, he's testing them, doing all these little things. He's not doing experiments on the rats, but he's doing experiments again. He's now taking these rats in, he's like taking care of them, which is his character, and I'm so glad to see that he's finally back. We find out, though, that part of that cheery attitude that he has, again, has to do with this one doctor who says he has an experiment that he can do. Angela, rightly, in my opinion, says we need to look into this. He's upset about it at first, but then Angela comes in and says, look, I did research. This doctor has lost 2 of his patients on his experiments, and then uses the rats as a metaphor. How is this any different than what those doctors were doing to these rats that you're trying to take care of? And ultimately he realizes, yeah, you're right. And at first I thought this was going to turn into a little pouty session, but Then he kind of smiles and he's like, no, we're good. I'm like, wait, so they got through this with, it was little bit of an argument, but they managed to get through it and he's actually good now? Like, thank you. That happens. There are going to be fights in relationships. I understand that. But what Hodgins did for the past 4 weeks was just so unrealistic because who does that? Who ends up in a traumatic event and just automatically starts being a jackass to their spouse because of that, because they feel sorry for themselves? Who does that? Nobody that I know. Maybe there are people out there who do, but based on Hodgins' character, based on who he is, and I've known this character for almost 11 whole seasons now. That's not who he is. He's not that type of person. So to see him go through that was very frustrating. I'm so glad he's back. I'm glad he's back to being the same old Hodgins, looking creepy while holding a rat and letting the rat crawl over him. It's brilliant. It's so great to have him back. And I'm glad that didn't end in a fight. However, there are some issues at the Jeffersonian. They bring in this new intern, and I'm like, okay, so what's her weird little quirk that we're going to have to get used to? Come to find out, she's terrible at her job. And actually, this was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. She's very annoying. Every time she's on the screen, she's working with Dr. Brennan. Dr. Brennan says something, she repeats it back to her in different words. I'm just like, can't you have an original thought? And then she finds something, talks to Cam about it. Cam's just like, yeah, that seems right. Good work. Like, trying to make her feel good about herself. And then Brennan comes in and says, you did stuff wrong, and now you messed up the case, you're fired. And I'm just like, really? I've seen this before. She gets mad, fires somebody, and then the team comes back. It's like, look, we need to bring her back. You can't just fire somebody willy-nilly. Like, wait, but this is completely different. And thankfully, they don't touch on this again, so that is the one good thing that came out of this scenario, is that it ended actually on a fairly good note. I was expecting it to be, Hodgins said something to Cam, and Cam said, look, I'll see what I can do, but sometimes you just have to... I can't remember what her exact words were, but basically it was, sometimes things just have to work out this way. But, I mean, it ended kind of like that. It wasn't a huge... Hodgins had to go through somebody else, or Cam went to Brendan and said, hey, you need to hire her back. Because the truth is, in the past when she's fired interns, it's been for wrong reasons sometimes. Sometimes it's just a personal thing, sometimes she's like mad at them, or sometimes she's just being completely impatient instead of giving them a chance to prove themselves. This one has proved that she is incompetent. She's proved time and again that she doesn't really know exactly what she's doing. She knows basic stuff, but to be working here and to be doing the work that they're doing, you can't be as slow and as incompetent as she is. So it totally makes sense to me why Brennan fired her. She had a good reason this time. She completely screwed up a case. That's a reason to fire somebody. It's like, yeah, sometimes people deserve second chances. Well, yeah, but this is not... It's not just this one time, oh, she messed it up this once. No, she, from the very, very beginning, was not doing her job very well, was making mistakes. Brennan tried to help her a bit, even. She's sitting there repeating stuff back. She's like, look, you have to be judged on your own work. You can't just repeat back what I'm saying. That's not good enough. She told her what she needed to do, and it just constantly got worse. So I'm just like, why is she even here? Like, what is the point of this intern? And ultimately, I'm glad that it ended on a note of, we're not going to try to convince Brennan to bring her back, but at the same time, it just ends right in the middle. Like, there's no resolution for her, there's no resolution for Brennan, whether or not she felt right about it. There's no resolution for Cam if she's going to do anything. I'm just like, what is going on? Why was this even a thing? Why even bring her in? I'm so confused. And it frustrated me, to be honest. I'm just... Another choice by the show that makes me wonder, do they know what they're doing? Like, is this just... You couldn't get any of the actors or actresses that play the other interns to come in, so you're like, oh, let's just bring in this random girl, let her be the intern for one episode while we can't get anybody else in, and that'll be it. You can't just have Dr. Brennan working alone. You've done that before. What's the point of this? What was the point? What was the overall point? What was the lesson learned? There was none at all. I'm just like, why? So that added on to the entire stupid acapella thing just really frustrated me. At least there were some funny Hodgins moments. So take the good with the bad. Try to look at the positive while still acknowledging there's a lot of negative. This show needs to turn it up. Needs to come back. It's really stupid right now. At least it's back to being stupid though, and not just unrealistic like with the whole Hodgins thing. But anyway, those are my thoughts on this episode. Let me know what you thought of it down below. If there's anything that I missed that you want to discuss, talk to me about it. We can discuss it. Leave a like and subscribe if you even want to watch more Bones. I don't know why you're even watching this. Did you actually watch the episode? If so, I applaud you. See you guys in the next review. Peace out.